بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا رسول الله محمد بن عبد الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه وبعد. Continuation with Salaat Tatawwu, and tonight inshallah we'll cover two things actually. The first one, Salaat Tatawwu with the intention and starting the act. We have two terms in Arabic. We have one term in Arabic. We call it the first one an-niyya, intention, and the other one ash-shuru', to start the act, not to finish it. Just to start the act, we call it shar'a ash-shuru'. When you start the act, you are in. Then we say in general, Salatul Tatawwu, it's volunteer. If you did it, you'll be rewarded. If you did not do it, you are not sinful. But when you have intention to do any volunteer ritual, if you did not do it, just you have intention to do 2 rak'at, or you have intention to give sadaqah, or you have intention to fast one day, and you did not start this, there is no harm and there is no liability at all to quit. Have intention to do 2 rak'at and you change your mind, or you didn't find the time fit to you, or you got busy with something else. There is no liability here, just the intention. But if you have intention and you started the act, getting in case of a prayer, you said Allahu Akbar, and you started reciting Surah Al-Fatiha. Or in the fasting, you had intention and you started after Fajr not eating. Then we call it Niyya and Shuru'a. Already you have intention and you started the act. In this case, can you quit? Can you say, no, I will not continue? We have some differences between scholars. The first one opinion, they said with niyyah and shuru'a, you cannot quit. You made it a mandatory upon yourself to continue. And this is representing the opinion of Hanafi and Maliki. They said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, ati'u Allah, obey Allah, and ati'u Rasul, obey his prophet, وَلَا تُبْطِلُوا أَعْمَالَكُمْ, and don't abrogate your good deeds. Don't abrogate your good deeds. Means after establishing them, after starting them, don't abrogate them. You can quit. You can quit if there is any reason that you are not able, but you made it a mandatory upon yourself to make it up in the same way that you are making up the fard. Why? Because you are not allowed. Before it was optional, but after starting the act is not optional anyway. You committed yourself to do this. They looked at it as a pledge, nadr. Nadr is not optional. Before, you are not obligated to do anything. If you said, I will come and stay overnight in the masjid, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave me this, I will stay overnight from Isha until Fajr. If you had intention before, it's not connected to anything, and you said, oh, I will need to sleep, go home. But if you said, if Allah give me this, I will do this and this, and already you are given, then in this case you have no options. You pledge yourself. They said also starting the ritual like you are pledging this to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The only difference, the one you did it verbally and the one you do it via act. In both cases you are committed to continue. This is the analysis of the Maliki, Hanafi and Maliki. Shafi'iyya, they said no, even you have intention and you started the act, you can quit. You can quit without any liability, because they said the entire act is volunteer. And volunteer stays volunteer. You cannot change to make it a wajib without a clear-cut evidence. It's still volunteer. Volunteer, you have intention to recite Surah Al-Baqarah and you started Surah Al-Baqarah, you cannot finish it. Then you don't need to make it up by reciting Surah Al-Baqarah in another time, because at the end of the day, reciting Surah Al-Baqarah specifically is not a must. And nothing can make it a must, either your intention or your act. It should be a must by default. This is the analysis of the Shafi'i and the Hanbali, and you can see both they have points. But according to the first opinion, which is that if you have intention and you started the act, that either you finish it, you complete it, or you make it up if you quit, they have different scenarios. If you have intention to do 2 rak'at, you started the 2 rak'at and after that you say Assalamu alaikum salam. I see many people doing this in Fajr, for example, they don't finish, or I see some people, specific people. To be away from these differences, continue, finish your 2 rak'at. And there is no contradiction between this and the hadith of the Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, إِذَا أُقِيمَتِ الصَّلَاةَ فَلَا صَلَاةَ إِلَّا الْمَكْتُوبَةَ. If the iqamah took place, there is no other prayers. The hadith is there is no other prayers to, means you cannot do a mandatory other than the one we are doing. Or you cannot start a nafil. However, if you are in the prayer, still in the prayer, you finish your prayer that you are committing to. Not only this, the Hanafi said, if you know that your imam is reciting long, and you can do on the side the 2 rak'at of Fajr, do it very quick. And we'll come to the recitation of Al-Fajr. But if you intended to do 2 rak'at, according to Maliki and Hanafi, and for some reason you could not continue, then you make it up by 2. And if you intended to do 4, like the day prayers, sometimes we do 4, right? 4 before Dhuhr, 4 after, 4 before Asr, or Salatul Duha during the day, can do it 4. If you intend to do this and you quit, in this case the scholar, they said, you make it up by 2 because this is the minimum you can do. You satisfy the volunteer. The minimum you satisfy the volunteer is what? 2 rak'at unit. We don't have 1 rak'ah unit except for the witr. And some of them they said no. You make up what you intended. And the right analysis, according to even this school of thought, we should make only 2, because when we started, we did start 2, now we started 100. I could have intention to do 100, right? And I started Allahu Akbar. I will do 100 continuous, or I will do just 2? 2. Then when I stand up again, I will do another shuru'a, start the act. So I did start the first unit of the act, that's it. This is what you are obligated to. However, if you are praying 2 rak'at, then you, by mistake, you stood up to do the 3rd one. I'm talking about the volunteer. And Hanafi, they said you committed yourself to 2. Because already you started the second. The second 2, you cannot just sit down, because this is obligating the second 2 rak'at. And you cannot do just 1 because it will be an odd number, and we don't have an odd number but with. Is it understood? So if by mistake you stood up to do the 3rd one, then do the 3rd and 4th. If you stood up to do the 5th one, you keep going with this sequence. Then you do the 5th and 6th. 2 units each. Huh? Yeah, towards the end. But still you cannot just quit and say, oh, I will not continue according to Hanafi. The second point, which is um, which is very important. We get this question all the time. When should we make a taslim? After 2 rak'at, or we can do it after 4 rak'at, or maybe more? We have the report, the hadith that the Nabi Abdullah ibn Umar in Bukhari and Muslim, he said, Salatul layl matna matna. The prayer of the night, 2 and 2. 2 and 2. This hadith of Abdullah ibn Umar and Sahih in Bukhari and Muslim. Versus this hadith, we have the hadith of Sayyidah Aisha, that the Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam did not exceed 11 rak'at at night in Ramadan or in any other time. He prays 4 rak'at, don't ask about their length and their beauty. Then after that you do another 4 rak'at, don't ask about their length and about their beauty. And then he does 3 rak'at. This hadith also suggesting that it's 4 rak'at unit, is not 2. We have this and we have that. For most of the scholars, the said the prayer is according to hadith of Salatu al-layl matna matna. And by the way, in another report, the reporter himself, not the hadith, said Salatul layli wan nahar, the prayer of the day and the night. But add the prayer of the night and the day. And the day was added by the reporter, not by the actual hadith. We call it idraj al-hadith. During the day, during the night, matna matna, they said the preference of the volunteer prayer to be 2 by 2. In each 2, you make tashahhud and taslim. This is Maliki, Shafi'i, and Hanbali. Except for the Hanbali, they said if he changed this and he made it 4 instead of 2, still acceptable. Hanafi, they made some distinctions. They said if the prayer at night, then the preference to be 2 and 2. This is the opinion of Sayyiduna al-Imam Abu Yusuf Yaqub and Sayyiduna al-Imam Muhammad ibn Hassan al-Shaybani. Imam Abu Hanifa himself, within the Hanafi, they said no. 4 during the day, 4 during the night is the preference. He used the hadith of Sayyidah Aisha. 4, don't ask about their length and about their beauty. Their length and beauty, he said 4. And also he said Sunnah, it's based on a challenge. Fard is not based on a challenge because it's a must. But Sunnah, it's volunteer, based on a challenge. You don't challenge yourself with 2. You challenge yourself with 4. 4 or more. Why? Because you are doing volunteer. Usually people, they do volunteer, they have energy. Then the Imam said 4 and 4, this is the preference. 4 and you make a taslim. 4 and you make a taslim. Don't exceed this. And the Imam Abu Yusuf and Imam Muhammad, they said, if it's during the day, the preference is 4. And if it's during the night, the preference is 2. Then you ask them, where did you get 4 from? You have the hadith, Salatul layl matna matna, the prayer of the night, 2 and 2. They said from what we call it Dilalat al-Mafhum. Dilalat al-Mafhum, the understanding of the hadith. The understanding of the hadith. If it's always 2 and 2, then do we need to specify night? Then when you specify night 2 and 2, this means what? The day is different, right? The day is different. If it's, you are following me or sleeping? Sleeping. That's good. That's good to know. When you say Salatul layl 2 and 2, if it's always 2 and 2, then don't mention time. Salatul Tatawwu, a volunteer prayer, is 2 and 2. That's it. When you say night, this means day is not like the night. But if you are doing 2 and 2 at night, then during the day you do what? 4 and 4. This is their understanding of the hadith. Even if it's not mentioned in the text. And this way they call it dilalatul mafhum. It's the understanding of the text, not the literally meaning of the text. فاهم يا عم الحاج محمد؟ الحمد لله. عرفت فلزم. Inshallah, next time we will talk about the preference in the recitations of the surahs linked to what is the preference of the surahs in the 2 rak'at of al-Fajr, rak'at of al-Maghrib, rak'at of al-Witr. Inshallah. Do you have any questions?
Yes, this was related to the Salaat. I just have a question about, we're talking about pledge now. What about if you make a pledge for a donation to the masjid, and for some reason then what is about that pledge? You know?
This also a niyyah.
A niyyah.
Yeah, a niyyah. And this was it. As far as it's a niyyah is not a nadhr. You have intention to give. I intend in my mind to give in the next Friday $10 or $100. But for some reason I call it just niyyah. In my mind, I made up my mind. Then it's still niyyah, there is no act. But if you said, I will, or for Allah, that Allah is my witness, that I will, or I do this is a pledge. You have to fulfill it unless you are excused. Means you lost all of your wealth, then it's overwhelming. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. Or already you made some kind of what we call it nadhr with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If I got this, I will do that. In this case, and you got what you are asking for, then in this case also you have to fulfill.